At 82 years old, I've learned many lessons about life. But there's one decision I deeply regret: moving into a nursing home. At the time, it seemed like the right choice. My family encouraged it, assuring me that I would have all the care, comfort, and security I needed. I believed them. But once I got there, I quickly realized the reality was nothing like what I had imagined. I know some of you may be considering this option, either for yourself or for a loved one. Maybe you feel like it's the safest choice, or maybe you've been told it will make life easier. But before you take that step, I want to share 6 things I wish someone had told me before I moved in. Because the truth is, life in a nursing home isn't just about convenience, it changes everything. And once you go in, getting out isn't nearly as simple as you think. Stay with me until the end, because some of these lessons may surprise you. And if you know someone who's considering a nursing home, this message might be exactly what they need before making a life-changing decision. Let's begin. Regret number 1: losing my independence. The biggest shock after moving into a nursing home wasn't the small room, the set meal times, or even the unfamiliar faces. It was the realization that I had lost control over my own life. Before I moved in, I had my own routines. I decided when to wake up, when to eat, and how to spend my day. I could go for a walk whenever I wanted, cook my favorite meals, or simply relax in my chair with a good book. But inside the nursing home, I quickly realized my time no longer belonged to me. Everything ran on a schedule that wasn't mine. Breakfast was served at a set time, even if I wasn't hungry. Lights went out at a certain hour, whether I was ready for bed or not. If I wanted to take a walk outside, I often needed permission. And even then, I usually had to wait until someone was available to assist me. Simple decisions, like what to eat or what to wear, suddenly felt like privileges instead of basic choices. I still remember my first week there. I woke up in a bed that didn't feel like mine. I reached for the book I had been reading at home, but when I looked around, I realized it wasn't there. My books, my chair, the small comforts I had collected over the years, they were gone. In their place were sterile walls, a bed I didn't choose, and a deep sense that I was no longer in charge of my own life. And here's the hardest truth: once you give up your independence, it's almost impossible to get it back. You adapt because you have no choice. You stop asking to change things. You stop pushing back. Slowly, you learn to fit into the system. But in doing so, you lose pieces of yourself. If you're considering a nursing home, ask yourself this: are you ready to give up the small freedoms that make life truly yours? Because once they're gone, you'll miss them more than you ever imagined. Regret number 2: feeling forgotten. One of the hardest truths about moving into a nursing home is realizing that the world outside keeps moving without you. When I first arrived, my family reassured me that they would visit often. And in the beginning, they did. My daughter came once a week, my grandchildren visited on weekends, and for a while, I felt connected to my old life. But as the months went by, those visits became less frequent. My daughter started calling instead of coming. My grandchildren grew busier with school and work. Holidays were the hardest. Everyone promised they'd come, but plans often changed at the last minute. And there I was, sitting alone in a common room, watching other residents stare at the door, hoping today would be the day someone remembered them. It wasn't that my family stopped loving me. Life simply got in the way. When you're not around, it's easy for people to assume you're fine, that you're adjusting, that you don't need as much attention. But the truth is, the longer you're in a nursing home, the easier it is for people to forget how much you still need them. I remember one evening, holding my phone and debating whether to call my son. I didn't want to be a burden. I didn't want to remind him that I was waiting. So I put the phone down. And that's when it hit me: this was my life now. Hoping someone would remember to include me. If you're thinking about moving into a nursing home, ask yourself, are you prepared for the loneliness? Because no matter how much your family loves you, once you're out of sight, it's far too easy to become out of mind. Regret number 3, losing my sense of purpose. When I moved into the nursing home, I thought I was only changing where I lived. I didn't realize I was also changing why I lived. At home, I had responsibilities. I had routines, hobbies, and reasons to get out of bed. Even the smallest things, watering plants, making coffee, tidying up my space, gave me a sense of purpose. But in the nursing home, those daily rituals disappeared. Meals were prepared for me. Cleaning was handled by others. The plants weren't mine to care for anymore. At first, I told myself it would be nice to finally rest, no chores, no worries. But after a few weeks, the days began to feel painfully long, stretched out with nothing meaningful to do. I wasn't alone in that. I saw it happen to others too. There was a man named George, a former carpenter. At home, he was always working on projects, building things with his hands. But here, there were no tools, no projects, nothing to create. I watched as his strong, capable hands sat idle in his lap. One day, he looked at me and said, "I feel useless." And I knew exactly what he meant. When you no longer have something to care for or something to look forward to, life begins to lose its meaning. The mind slows down, the body follows, and soon you feel like just another resident, waiting for time to pass. If you're considering a nursing home, ask yourself, what gives your life meaning? Because once you move in, finding purpose isn't just about filling your time, it's about fighting to hold on to what makes you feel alive. Regret number 4, declining health faster than expected. Before I moved into a nursing home, I was doing well for my age. I wasn't running marathons, but I could still cook, shop, walk, and care for myself. But once I moved in, everything changed. At first, it seemed nice, meals delivered, chores handled, help just a button away. But what I didn't realize was that the less I did for myself, the weaker I became. I wasn't moving as much. My legs grew stiff. Getting up from a chair felt harder. The muscles I had worked for years to maintain began fading faster than I ever expected. And I wasn't the only one. I saw it happen to others too. Residents who had walked in on their own 2 feet were suddenly relying on walkers, then wheelchairs. Independence faded quickly in an environment designed to make life easier. I remember Alice, an 81-year-old woman who arrived full of energy. She walked every day and swore she wouldn't slow down. But over time, I watched her decline. First, a walker. Then a wheelchair. One day, she said to me, "I don't know when it happened, but I feel like I aged 10 years in a few months." And she was right. In a place where movement isn't required, you stop moving. And when you stop using your body, you start losing it. If you're considering a nursing home, ask yourself, will you still have the motivation to stay strong when everything is set up to make life effortless? Because once you slow down, getting back up isn't easy. Regret number 5, losing privacy and dignity. One thing I didn't fully consider before moving into a nursing home was just how much privacy I would lose. At home, I had my space. I could close my door, sit in silence, or do things my way. But in a nursing home, privacy is a luxury. Staff come in and out. Room checks happen. Shared spaces mean you're rarely alone. Even basic things, like getting dressed or using the bathroom, often required help. And while I know the staff were only doing their jobs, it was difficult to accept help for things I had done on my own all my life. Then there were roommates. Not everyone gets a private room. Sharing a space with someone you didn't choose can be challenging. I was fortunate to have a kind roommate, but others weren't so lucky. I heard stories of residents with loud or disruptive roommates, making rest nearly impossible. No matter how much you decorate your room, it never feels fully yours. Dignity slowly slips away when your routines are dictated by someone else's schedule, when knocks on the door don't wait for your answer, and when you're treated more like a patient than a person. If you're considering a nursing home, ask yourself, are you prepared to surrender the privacy and dignity you've had your entire life? Because once it's gone, it's hard to get back. Regret number 6, realizing it's harder to leave than you think. When I first moved into the nursing home, I told myself it was temporary. I'd give it a try. If I didn't like it, I could always leave. But I didn't realize how difficult it would be to get out once I was in. At first, I thought I could simply return home. But my house wasn't the same anymore. It sat empty, hard to maintain. My children had started making changes, selling things, even considering renting it out. When I mentioned moving back, they hesitated. Are you sure you can manage alone? Wouldn't it be safer to stay? We just want what's best for you. And the truth was, I wasn't as strong as before. Months of relying on the system had weakened me. My independence was slipping, and that fear kept me stuck. I met others with the same story. They thought they'd try the nursing home for a little while. But the longer they stayed, the harder it became to leave. Some lost the option entirely. Once their homes were sold or their savings drained, there was no going back. That's the part nobody tells you. Moving in feels like a decision you can reverse, but in reality, it often isn't. The nursing home slowly becomes your whole world, while the life you once had fades into a distant memory. If you're considering a nursing home, ask yourself, are you prepared for the possibility that once you go in, leaving may not be as simple as you think? Final thoughts. Looking back, I don't regret growing older. But I do regret believing that a nursing home was my only option. I expected comfort, safety, and a better quality of life. What I found was a world that took away my independence, my privacy, my purpose, and slowly, even my sense of self. Does that mean nursing homes are always bad? No. Some people truly need the level of care they provide. But before making that decision, think carefully about what you're giving up. Because once you move in, life will never be the same. If I could do it again, I would have fought harder to stay in my own home. I would have explored ways to get help without giving up my freedom. And I would have made sure I truly needed to be there before making such a permanent move. So if you're facing this decision, ask yourself, is this truly what's best for me, or is it simply what seems easiest right now? Because the life you have today, your routines, your independence, your choices, is worth holding on to for as long as you can. Thank you for being here with me today. Leave a comment below and share one thing you've learned and how you plan to use it in your own life. Your thoughts mean a lot to us, and reading them gives us great encouragement. If you found this message helpful, please like, subscribe, and share. Your support helps us continue creating content that informs and inspires. Thanks for watching, and I look forward to seeing you in the next video.